Morning, everyone. In fact, today is an extremely significant day in the history of the GGR. But before we get into that, it's the 18th of March. Anyone know what the importance and relevance of that is? Is very significant. Anyway, all's quiet on the home front with the GGR, and everything's pretty much happening as we predicted yesterday. So that's kind of nice. So what's significant about today? Well, first of all, before we get into that, this is the official coin, the gold coin for the GGR. And some of you may not have heard about these. We did one. Oh, I can't get the cover off. It comes in a plastic cover. This is the official gold coin of the GGR, and you'll see on the cover there on the front, it's a gold coin with Joshua on there, celebrating the 60th anniversary of Joshua and Bernard Matessia's story within the Golden Globe, which is pretty significant. On the back, it's got the Golden Globe, the original one, 1968. With Bernard Matessia on this one. There was one done for 2018 that had Sue Haley on, the winner of the Golden Globe, and you can see the thing around there. Anyway, there's one for every day that Joshua was actually at sea. And when we have the shop going or the system set up for you buying T-shirts and bits and pieces, there will be an opportunity to buy one of these limited edition gold coins, as well as the official canvas poster. With all the bits and pieces. So that's not the significant part about today. Have you worked it out yet? March the 18th, 1969. Try and come to it. And I'm going to really hang you off here because I am going to actually give you a sneak peek at some pictures that have never been seen before. And it's quite a story about the significance of today. But I'm going to do it right at the end of this stuff. So we'll get into the tracker, but believe me, I was really surprised. I received a very interesting email last night with some amazing photos in it, and we'll release it as a full story press release next week, but you're going to get a sneak peek just at the end of this to see a bit about it. And in the meantime, try and work out what's so significant. So back to the tracker. Here we go. And Ian is actually having a pretty good time at the moment. He's doing 5.8 knots, which means he's got plenty of breeze because he's still on 3 reefs on the main. Done 112 nautical miles in the last 24 hours. And he's cutting across the seas there at an interesting angle. I would have thought he'd be going straight down with that, but he's obviously doing it to stay comfortable with the seas. He's got 30, probably gusting up to 40 there by the look of the color gradient. And his distance to Cape Horn right now is near enough to should be 600 miles. Oh, jeepers. Okay, 450 nautical miles to go. So that's going to be about 3 days normally at 150. So 4 days, probably 4 days, and he should be just around. So we'll have a look at that, how that stacks up with the weather. Jeremy's been having a really good run, 5.8 knots. He's done 112 nautical miles, exactly the same as Ian. Is that right? Yeah, exactly the same. Yeah, look at that. Snap. Exactly the same, both boats. So that's cool. He's making pretty good progress, and that's due to continue as we go forward. So just pushing the winds. Jeremy's happy because it's all behind him, and you can see there those stronger winds for Ian have dropped off. It gets a bit of a respite, and then it comes in. He's actually made good progress. So he might meet a bit of this blow here. Now for Ian. With that color gradient, he's getting low 30s, gusting over 40 probably, and sea state will be around about 5 meters, maybe more, because it's deep ocean there. Yeah, that's up around 6, building up. So anyway, but it's still manageable. It's not what we call a major storm or anything like that. Jeremy's got some sea there as well. But all from the right direction. So touch wood. We're confident they should be fine with that. And that's 24 hours from now. So then going through into the next day, everything's backing off a bit for Ian, but and Jeremy as well. Jeremy's got it right where he wants to go. It's dead behind him, which is a good thing, and favourable wind direction for Ian as well. So he's missed that heavier stuff, but this is something coming up behind him now. That's the 20th. So we're now past, this is 2.5 days ahead. So Ian's still not there, and we'll position him just so we can see. Jeremy's fine. He's just got really solid Southern Ocean stuff. So Jeremy's going to be out here somewhere. That's 6 meter seas, 5-6 meter seas, 30 gusting 40, over 40, and so on. But he's used to that. Now, this is 3 days ahead for Ian now. So not for 3 days ahead for Ian on the 21st, and that puts him at least 330 odd miles in front. So 330, he's going to be very close to Cape Horn. So this is about where he's going to be right here. And so I'll just get rid of that so we can progress the weather forward. I'll leave my cursor. That's about where he'll be when this weather is coming through. I've got to come back here and hit that. So let's see what he's going to get. So that's quite a bit of breeze there. I'll pull that up on Windy tomorrow when we know the forecast is a bit more accurate. 2 days out, it can be reasonably accurate. 3 days, this could get worse or stronger. It actually, compared to yesterday, if my memory serves me correctly, it's actually intensifying. The wind's getting a bit stronger and slowing down a bit. So he's going to be in for a wild ride around Cape Horn by the look of it. It's holding there for quite a few hours. So that's going to build up. That'll be 7, 8 meter, 9 meter seas probably. And those winds are going to be up over 50 knots. So he's going to have to earn his rounding. And tomorrow we'll bring Windy up and give you a very accurate detail on the way the wind's looking. See, it's holding there as it's punching through. The big winds are still just sitting there. So that's going to be with him for 24 hours. And then it starts to kick through and he'll be okay. But he's going to get the quintessential Cape Horn storm by the look of it. And we'll put him on a weather alert from tomorrow, 2 days out. There's nowhere to send him. We can't go north, south, or whatever. It's going to go over him and there's not much you can do about it. So this is what we call paying the piper. He's had a really good run, all the way across the Southern Ocean from Cape Town all the way, but he's going to pay to get around. So that's how it works. Okay, so he should be fine. So now coming down to Captain Goog, still sitting in this hollow. He's doing 3.2 knots, not much breeze there. Light headwinds. He's done 75 nautical miles in the day. At least he's going sort of northerly direction. But it's going to frustrate him for sure. We mentioned that it's scheduled to come over the top of him and, still block his path. And that's exactly what's happened. You can see as I'm clicking this through, it's completely in front of him. He can't do much about it. As he goes forward, he's going to stop. And this is 24 hours from now. Okay, so that's 24 hours out. He's still sitting here. So there's 1 day of frustration. It's still there. Right up to a day and a half. That's midnight the night before. He's just got light headwinds. So at least it'll be a pleasant day. And then, so this is 2 days out. With this breeze, he can come across on port tack and be heading out to the northeast, which is a good thing. So because he wouldn't have made much forward progress. But interestingly, when he does that, you'll see he's heading back into the middle of it again. So it's not a lot that you can do about that. And then it's still holding. So Goog's got a few more days of frustrations there. It's not too bad actually. He can reach across that. So I'd say a couple of days of frustration, and then he should get sailing. So that's pretty reasonable. Okay. So come up to the lead group with Kirsten. Kirsten's made a bit of a break on this, as we were suggesting yesterday. She's got, even there when you look at it right now, what have we got here? Boom, she's doing 7.2 knots. Okay, she was only doing 6.4, I think it was, in the previous 4 hours. Now she's doing 7.2. Winds on the beam. The water will be flat. And she's going for it. She's done 143 nautical miles in the last 24 hours. So she is actually clearing out a bit. Abelis is only doing 4.2, and he'd done about the same the previous 4 hours before that. So over the last 8 hours, he's only been doing about 4.2, and that shows in the distance. He's got 97 nautical miles, and Kirsten had 143. So Kirsten's pulled out nearly 50 miles in the last 24 hours for that. Simon's the same, 4.7. He's got a bit of a light deal here, so not much you can do about that. and at least he's in the same game as the rest of them. That last week was amazing. Obviously, yes, Simon's a good sailor and this, that, and the other, but he really did kick a goal with the luck of the breeze. He was the one getting, that 1,000-mile week. Probably 500 of it is purely because of the weather. But he's right up there, and it makes it all very much fun now. Of course, Simon's Chichester class, not in the rankings for anything other than having fun. And that's fantastic to see. So everyone's making bets on who's going to be first into Les Sables d'Olonne. One thing I will say, my take on the ETA into Les Sables d'Olonne now, and generally speaking, if we put in it's the weekend, so I can waffle on a bit. Here's the equator up here, okay? Once they get to the equator, it's probably around about 30 odd days. It's 4 and a bit weeks from there, usually, especially if we look at the speed in 2018 in the last edition of the GGR. Jean-Luc wasn't a good benchmark because he had a damaged rig. Mark Slats was a pretty good benchmark, and I think he did it in about 29 days. And then Uku, who was third, I think he did it in about 32 days, something like that. So it's a good month from the time they get to the equator. And it's now the 18th of March, that special day that I wonder if anyone's worked it out yet. I'll check out the comments in a minute. And so there's still 700 miles to go of light weather. So that could be at least another 6 days or so. So that brings it up to about the 24th of March, and another month on that. So the earliest I think you're going to see anyone arrive is the beginning of the last week of April. So I'm now suggesting that the ETA into Les Sables d'Olonne will be somewhere during that last week of April. I'm getting emails all the time now, or not all the time, but I'm getting quite a few people planning to come, and they said, "Oh, when are they going to arrive? When can I travel? When should I be there?" Blah blah blah. So figure on the last week of April, and there'll be a lot of some interesting stuff planned there for when they arrive. And it'll be quite exciting. Whoever is first, second, or third, because everyone that finishes is a winner, of course. But the first one's also pretty special. But anyway, okay. So let's get rid of this and go back to the weather. We'll have a bit of a look at what's happening here, because you can see it's just really nothing substantial at all in terms of these trades. It's all softened off. The pressure gradients are very open, and so there's no distinct anything. It's a real mess. Where's the South Atlantic high? Is that it? Is that it? No. Is this one it? No. It's just really bland, and it's going to be a struggle for them to get over to the top. The trades up here in the northeasterly trades in the North Atlantic are pretty reasonable, all things considered, and a lot of that's being driven by the heavier weather up here. But there is an absolute sort of Azores situation here. But there is absolutely this strong northeasterly airflow that's been sitting there for weeks and weeks. And that's where it hits them on the nose, and they've got to work their way up here somehow and get up to the Azores and then make a track across. It usually arcs across. Once they get there, they can't even go straight across at that point. They've got to sort of come out wide a bit and then ride it around into Les Sables d'Olonne. So it'll be interesting to watch. But you can say pretty much that their next objective is to get up to here. Once they get through the doldrums, they got to push through these tradesmen here. Someone could be bold and try and sneak in on the inside. Sometimes there's a window there of opportunity. Depends on what's happening with these pressure systems here. So, but it's pretty risky. And once again, following the Ocean Passage of the World for the clipper ships is probably the most reliable, and that predicts sort of holding up to it and getting through and arcing around. Anyway, I digress, but it's the weekend. So now we'll come back here and just push their weather across, and let's see what happens here over the next couple of days. Oh, what we didn't do is look at the distance. So I'm going to go to the leaderboard here, because that's a pretty reasonable measure of what's going on between Kirsten and Abelish. At the moment, Kirsten's got 3,227 and Abilish's got 4,089. So let's call that 100. There's nearly 400 miles in that. That's 7. That's not quite 4. It's 350 miles. So Kirsten's got a break of about 350 miles. And let's measure off Simon here while we've got it. Okay, rum line to Simon is near enough for 400 miles. So Simon's about 400 miles behind Kirsten. And rum line for Abelish. About 200 miles. So Simon's about 200 miles behind Abelish and 400 behind Kirsten, near enough. So that's all fun. Okay, here goes the weather, and we'll see what happens. So again, Simon's going to slow down. He's got the least amount of breeze. Abelish is doing okay. Interestingly, he's not getting squeezed into the coast here. He's able to hold his own. So that whole argument we talked about, a week ago, where he's going to get trapped in the coast, didn't happen, which is a good thing for him. But I'd say that Kirsten's will manage to keep a little bit faster. She's got a bit more colour over here, a bit more breeze. So she's probably in this, there goes 12 hours. She's got more breeze than Abelish. And she's absolutely got more breeze there than Abelish, although Abelish is doing okay. So I would say in the first 24 hours, there's 24 hours there, Kirsten will probably do 140, 150 miles. Abelish should do about 80. So she's probably going to pick up another 50 miles or so. So that'll put her about 400 miles in front of Abelish. And Simon's going to lose a bit. He'll probably lose 30 or 40 miles. So going along to the next day, more breeze over on Kirsten's side for sure. And it's fading as it's getting to Abelish. The wind direction is good. So that's another 12 hours of better wind for Kirsten. In fact, there's substantially better, but it's slowly filling in for Abelish, and it's starting to come back for Simon. So that's a total of 36 hours at an advantage to Kirsten. So that's probably going to be worth, maybe 100 miles difference. So that 350 will turn into 450, I reckon. So Kirsten's a little bit in front. Then Simon will start moving, Abelish will start moving, and Kirsten's going to fly. She's got solid breeze. You can see this band of breeze coming in from the side. This is like a trade wind effect. I'm not sure what's underneath. It's sort of some sort of a high here, but anyway, who cares? The reality is that Kirsten's going to get a real kick there, and she'll rock it up. But what's laying ahead? So I'd say she's 450 miles in front of Abelish still, holding that. So this is now coming up to 2.5 days, and Abelish is underway again. He's got speed, and so Simon. So I think she'll hold that. There we go through into day 3. So day 3, Kirsten has actually been doing pretty well. That's about 400 or so miles. Oh, that's interesting. She sailed off the edge of that already, because she should be up here. So she's going to then park, right? So she's going to stop if this holds true, and Abelish will be coming up here, but he's going to eventually park as well, because he's going to be, if Kirsten's done 3 days, so 400 and something miles, Abelish has done probably 250. Yeah, he's going to run out of breeze as well. So he's going to run out of breeze here. Kirsten's going to run out of breeze there, and Simon's going to keep coming, because he's got the catch up. So that's another. Simon will catch back up, and it's then a situation where you're going to have Abelish sitting here. If Simon's going through the middle, he'll probably pass. He could actually pass over 2 days if this breeze holds. Pass and get north of Abelish just before the doldrums. And Kirsten, depends what she gets in the doldrums. And remembering, it's really hard to say what goes on in here. Even though it's saying no wind, you can bet your bottom dollar there'll be squalls there, and they can sail through that. So that's as far as we can go there. I'm going to come back to me here if I press the right buttons, and I'll tell you about what's so significant about today. I've got to find me. There I am. Okay, so what is significant about today? You'll all remember the story about Matessia saving his soul. In fact, I should look through the questions. This is what it's all about. The big thing that happened, and in fact, if I show you this, jeepers, I pressed the wrong button there. I hope you keep my voice. This is a ship. It's called the British Argosy. That's the ship that Matessia shot his message onto the deck. Okay, so that's not so super significant, but that's a significant part of the story. And what I got to tell you is that yesterday I got an email from a guy by the name of Mick Hart. And Mick Hart was the guy who picked up the lines of Matessia when he arrived in Tahiti, okay, once he kept going. And his mate is a guy by the name of Stewie White. And they've known each other for 50 years. And about 20 years ago, just in conversation, it came up that Mick, who took Matessia's lines in Tahiti, okay, when he first arrived, he was the first guy to pick up his lines. He was there in his boat, in his yacht. Turns out that his mate, Stewie White, was the third mate on the British Argosy, right? So what's so significant about that? Well, the reality was that when Matesia, I've got to make sure I press the right buttons there, shot his message up onto the deck of the ship, right? Stewie was the guy who picked up the message, right, in the can, right? And here's a picture that's never before been seen in the public, right, of Matesia on his boat taken from the deck of the ship after he'd shot the message up. Okay, so Stewie then sends the message up, and he's doing, what's this guy doing it? But here's the significant one, and I'm just going to show you a quick slip on this. This has never been seen before. Here is a picture of Matesia on Joshua with a slingshot in his hand just after he'd shot the message up onto the ship. Okay, so that's really quite significant. I've pressed the wrong buttons here. That's it. Listen out for the story next week. We'll just trying to put a few things together, and if all goes well, we'll issue the whole story about Stewie and Mick Hart and that whole photographic thing. No one's ever seen those shots before, and it really is significant. It's an amazing little snippet of history in the time, and I thank Mick for sending me that email last night. And I'm quite excited about it, and we'll explain the whole story, and with Mick's permission and Stewie's permission, we can release these photos for the first time, which is really cool. So we'll see you. What's going on here? I got to press the right button. Hope you can hear me. This all might have all gone pear-shaped here, but anyway, stop streaming. See you later.